Look at my old ugly ass, my wild hair. Man, it's all over the place. I had a hat on earlier. This is one of the ways you know I need a haircut, because when I have a hat on in my toboggan and I take it off, man, I look like, you know, some guy just crawled out from underneath the overpass somewhere. Now, Monday we went out, me and Junior, we went out, we dug some root and everything else, and I've made different videos, but I said I was going to make a part 2 video, and every time I made a video, I didn't like how it went, or I got off topic, or it was too long, so I always deleted it, and I still haven't posted the video of us being in the woods yet, which I need to do, because, like I said, it was this past Monday, but, you know, that's how I am sometimes. So sometimes, you know, I just drag my feet, and it's kind of like ho-hum, and, you know, there it is. Now, this is Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Thank God. And, I got to bake 2 loaves of bread and 2 loaves of specialty bread. And then I have to fix... There's something else I gotta fix. Now, I made a few jars of cowboy candy. I have been put back on the side on the shelf. We don't use a lot of it, but we do use it some. And I've been buying pickled jalapenos, which they're good, don't get me wrong, but since I made all this cowboy candy, I don't need to buy pickled jalapenos no more. I already have my real pickled jalapenos now. I am going to work on making a few jars of pickled Brussels sprouts for shelf-stable form. There's a few other vegetable things I'm going to work on doing some pickling of. There's a few other things I need to get my ass off of and started on before stuff starts to go bad, and I ruin the way it runs on me, and I don't have anything to make with it. So that's going to be probably tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon's when I'm going to be doing it. And then when Junior gets out of school, he can come out of school and help me with the finish up part of it. And, you know, there she be. My homemade apple cider vinegar. Oh my God, it's turned out great. It's nice and cloudy. It doesn't smell like booze no more. It's starting to smell like, starting to smell like vinegar. I got a great big ass gallon jug of it. I think it's great. I'm gonna probably, I don't know, probably about a month-ish, maybe, well, yeah, probably about a month and a half-ish. I'll see where it stands, and if it still needs to sit a little longer, then I'll let it sit a little longer if it needs to be, and do the good old filter thing, take all the chunks out, and I'll use the apples that have been fermented. I'll give some of them to the goats and some of them to the chickens. I'll get them nice and lit, if nothing else. But since now I know how easy it is to make homemade apple cider with Mother, oh man, it's on. I mean, it is on. So, because I use a lot of apple cider vinegar, and cause see, when I was growing up, you use apple cider vinegar for cooking and white vinegar for cleaning, and I mean, even for pickling, we use apple cider vinegar. But I know that was a preference from my grandmother, and that's what I grew up with. That's what I was used to seeing, and that's what I did. Now, I have used white pickling vinegar before. I've used that, and I've also added like a 50-25 ratio of white vinegar and apple cider kind of mixed together, just to give it that little extra flavor form, I guess you would call it. And I've also done a 50-50, you know, half white, half apple cider. So, you know, it's wherever you really, I guess, your preference is. So it's no really big issue or big deal. Now, sometime this coming week, it's supposed to drop temperature like crazy. Sometime next week, they're calling for chances of mixed flurries and rain mixed together. Of course, there's crazy, I say crazy, but there's some of the people around here, they heard mixed flurries, and the first thing that pops in their mind is, oh, we're getting snow, we're gonna get snow, and they're like all going spastic and crazy and shit. I'm just like, whatever, you know. Not saying that it can't, you know, get a real good snow here, but the chances. So I'm watering some plants over here with some old water that I had sitting out here that tasted like ass. And I figured instead of me trying to take a sip of it, just go ahead and dump it out to the plants. But getting back to the snow thing is, people are like, oh, it's gonna snow, we gotta get ready for snow and stuff. And I'm like, you should have done that weeks and months ago. The only thing we go through a lot of, honestly and truthfully, through the week, we go through probably, I'm gonna say, in a good rough estimate, 12 to 15 gallons of milk a week, and probably 3 to 4 18-pack of eggs, and probably 15 to 20 pounds of potatoes, and probably 10 to 15 pounds of onions. And that's like the guaranteed given. So what I'm doing for preparation for next year, for all this even more inflation, all this other crap coming out, you know, after election time and everything else, and all this crazy shit that people in the high monarchy is, you know, trying to trickle down to the bottom feeders, as I refer to us as the bottom feeders, because we are always the ones that getting shit on and stepped on. And, you know, you just got to scrape by with whatever you can and whatever you can grow or come up with, or, you know, stretch your pennies out so far to buy. I know some of y'all probably thinking, I ain't no bottom feeder. Well, I hate to tell you, unless you're, you know, your salary is more than 5 to 6 digits, you're a bottom feeder. Well, I got 4 digits in my salary. Well, you know, I'm glad you got 4 digits, because you're still a bottom feeder in some ways. Because most of the people that have a 4-digit salary, or even a 5-digit salary, you know, that's, I ain't talking yearly, I'm just talking in general. You're so far up to debt to your eyeballs that it's not even funny. And I know that I have friends of mine I've known most of my life growing up around here. They can't believe I don't own a cell phone. They can't believe I don't have a credit card. They're like, well, how do you live without a cell phone? Easy. I don't want one. Now, I am going to get one when I turn 50. And when I turn 50, I'm going to get my AARP card. I'm going to get my little phone that's a little flip phone that has little numbers you press, like the old-fashioned things. That's all I want. I don't want no web. I don't want no connectivity. I don't want no internet. I want a phone. I'm just going to dial some numbers, and there it is. And whoever can dial me, it'll show up caller ID. There it is. That's all I want. I don't want no gimmicks and no bells and whistles. You know, if I want bells and whistles, I'll bring my ass to the computer inside the house, sit at the desk, and there's all my bells and whistles. And this was also a comical thing too. They're like, well, what if you break down, you need directions? I drove over the road for about 10 years. If I can get from here to California with a Rand McNally open up booklet map, you know, with no GPS, with none of this new fancy bells and whistles shit. You know, God gave me feet for a reason. As long as I can keep walking, I don't need GPS, you know. And my thing is, I'll sit on the side of the road, put 4-ways on, call whoever, there you go. Because here soon I'm getting AAA as on top of everything else, so that'll be another little ace in my pocket. I just call AAA and say, hey man, I broke down the side of the road, come get my ass. Easy peasy. But, I mean, there's just so many things that people just, they rely so much on cell phones, and I don't care for cell phones. I never have. Truthfully and honestly, a long time ago when I had my old Ford Ranger, I had a Galaxy DX99V. It was a 10-meter radio. It was a CB band radio with 10-meter functions where I can, you know, I can operate like kind of like a ham. It was like a somewhat ham radio and a CB mixed together. And shit, I mean, I talked to people all over the county. You know, if I broke down, I was like, hey man, I'm over here such and such place, blah 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 blah. Send Joe Blow down the road with a tow chain or, you know, a dolly thing or something. You know, I didn't have to worry about it. Now, most of the people that I used to jaw jam on the CB, a lot of them are dead and gone now, and some of the ones that were around certain locations, they moved different locations and moved off or, you know, farther out of the area, and, you know, and plus I don't have a CB no more because, well, that's a long story, but I still got my 102-inch steel whip inside the carport, and I'm looking at getting a base unit sometime this year. Big old base station, Galaxy Saturn. I can't remember the actual numbers on it, but it's a great big ass behemoth, and I can get me my D104 mic, and I can sit there and I can do what I need to do, and, you know, I can throw talk skip, and, you know, talk to whoever's sitting in my house without having to be mobile, and, you know, if worst case scenario comes about, then, you know, there she be. But, and as far as the credit card wise, there was a couple of times I applied for one and they were like, well, your credit's good, but it's not good enough for a credit card. And then some years later went by and my credit was good enough for a credit card, and I got all kinds. I mean, Visa, MasterCard, American Express. I mean, they were sending me shit like crazy, and I just sitting there. Every time I got one, I'd open it up, take a pair of scissors, and I cut the card up in little pieces, and I stick it back in the thing and dispose of it. I did not want it. Didn't want nothing to do with it. And the reason, that sounds good, that Jake brake. Now, that is a muffled Jake brake. I'm going to get off topic for a minute. A long time ago, I was going through the place called the Twin Sisters. It's up around Oregon. Great big ass sign. I'm talking huge ass sign. Probably it's about the size of my carport. About 20 foot long, 15, 20 foot tall, like big ass sign. Pink sign, black letters, reflective. Truckers. No Jake brakes. Big ass sign. And the road went like this, and then it pitched about, I don't know, it was more than a 6% grade. It was probably about a 12-ish grade going down. And as it went down, then it kind of leveled off flat, and the bottom of the hill is a scale house. And shit, I was running, I don't know, 14-inch pipes on my truck at the time. Jake brakes didn't have the baffles in it like that, and I was hauling the big ass huge rolls of carpet going to a convention center in Seattle. I came down that hill probably to about 80 miles an hour, and I threw them jakes on full blast, took it out of gear. Boy, if I can just rattle that area like you would not believe. And then I realized why it said, big old sign said truckers no Jake brakes, because what you could not see at the time before you started coming down, but as you came down the hill, it kind of twisted a little bit like this. And as you got towards the bottom, there was houses all across both sides of the hillside. Man, I tell you what, I rattled so many people's houses, it was not even funny. That Scoutmaster sat there, his arms crossed, pissed off. Man, he could chew nails and shit bullets. He was so pissed off. And I went past him, woof, like a bat out of hell, went up the hill on the other side, didn't even stop for the Scout house. He jumped his car, chased me down. And he was like, man, why didn't you stop for my Scout house? I said, dude, I was going so damn fast with the Jake brakes on. If I was to try to come through your Scout house, I would have ran that thing over that little shack and kept on going through and everything else. I said, it was easier if you should chase me down. He chewed my ass for at least an hour over them Jake brakes. That thing was loud. I got about 80,000 pounds behind me of carpet going to the convention center. Well, why didn't you attempt to slow down? You saw how fast I passed you in that Scout house. I said, ain't no way in hell I'm gonna try to slow down with that much weight with Jake's going full blast. There's no way. I mean, I probably could have, but I wouldn't. I was like, hell yeah. Because when I drove a truck over the road, I remember a long time ago, I'm getting off my topic of credit cards, I know, that I went to this one company, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, sitting there during orientation. And the guy flat said, we don't want no hot dog drivers, no outlaw truckers, no bandits, no smoking the bandit shit, blah, blah, blah. He named all kinds of stuff. And after he got done talking, I just raised my hand. He said, what? I said, you can give me a bus ticket back to Kentucky. I said, because you don't want me. And he just laughed and laughed. He said, oh, you're going to be one of those comedian drivers. I said, no, I'm dead serious. You don't want me. If that is what you do not want as a driver for your company, you do not want me. And needless to say, about halfway through orientation, after we had to fill out paperwork where we worked previously and everything else, and I told him, I said, whenever you call Covenant Transport in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you ask about me as a driver, they're going to do two things. A, they're going to hang up the phone on you, or B, they're going to laugh in the phone, call you a few names, and then hang up the phone on you. And he just, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, I've heard all this shit before, you know, whatever. Next morning, going to orientation, sitting there in class, he looked at me, he said, you, my office now. And everybody's like, ooh, and I just kind of laughed. I'm like, well, you know, I told you. He sat there, he said, man, he goes, what in the hell did you do? I said, what do you mean? He said, I was like, did you call him? He's like, yeah. I said, well, what did they do? He said they did both. They hung up the phone on me. I called back, then they laughed, muttered a few words, and hung up the phone on me again, so I had to call back a different department to find out what the hell was going on. And they said, you were terminated with extreme prejudice. I said, yes, I was. And he said, what the hell happened? So I told him what I did and everything else, and that'll be a different video. All the thing you all got to do is remind me, to let me know, to tell you what I did. Because if I told you that everything word for word, I'd be here for an hour probably. But just to fast forward everything towards the very end, David Parker, the owner of Covenant Transport. Now see, Covenant Transport's motto is, they call it Covenant Transport because they are a Christian-based company. And they try to do things God's way. And that's why I went to him at first, because I thought, hey, you know, this might be a good opportunity. And I drove for him for a long time, and the situation arose. Like I said, it'd be a different video. And whenever everything came about, and he was going to fire me and everything else, he scratched his name on a piece of paper, flipped the paper around, and shoved it towards me, and took the pen out of my pocket, kind of like, I guess I took my pen in my pocket now. But I took my pen out of my pocket and I signed it, fuck you, and I dated it. Flipped it around and slid it back to him. It pissed him off so bad, I was like, peace. And yeah, it was bad. We left on very bad terms. But I didn't care. And And of course, when I told him everything, stuff like that, and I told him, I said, you know, the other day when you said you want these kind of drivers, that's my kind of driver. I log what I log, and you know, if you give me a run, say if I have 8 hours left in my logbook, and you give me a run that's going to consist of 24 hours, I'm going to run 24 hours on my 8-hour logbook, and I'm going to log it. And I'm going to do some cheating and some finagling and everything else. And whenever y'all get the logs, y'all get to pull apart the areas and fill in the gaps and do all kinds of other work, I said, because I'm going to log it. And you know, I told him, I said, you know, if you sit there and I tell you I got so many hours in my logbook, and y'all try to give me a load to force it upon my ass, oh, I'm going to take it. I'm gonna run the shit out of that damn thing, and if I get caught, I'm gonna show the DOT guy and say, hey, I've showed them why I'm losing. I don't have that many hours, and y'all said to grab it, take it anyway. I said, I'm gonna fry your all's ass bigger than shit. I said, I'm gonna get in trouble for it. I said, but y'all gonna get in more trouble than I am. So I said, I don't care. I got nothing to lose. And but I drove for them for 3 years ish. And then I got this idea in my head that the grass is greener on the other side of the pasture type of situation, and yeah, it went from there. So, but it is what it is. But back to the credit cards. I know I'm jumping around. I have friends of mine to this day that have like 3 and 4 credit cards, and they are in debt to their eyeballs. And they're like, man, every time I turn around, I gotta pay this, I gotta pay that, or I'm losing money here, or I gotta pull money on my ass to pay for this and this and this and this. I'm like, that's why I don't have a credit card. And you know, I go to Rural King all the time. A lot of the people out there know who I am, not like first name basis. They see me, hey, you're in here all the time. You're buying goat feed, you're buying chicken feed, you're buying farm equipment, like implement things, you know, just different things of that nature. And they're like, hey man, do you want the Rural King credit card? I'm like, I said, I would love it. I said, but my problem is I would charge that thing up so high, I'd be paying on it for the rest of my life. I'm like, nope, I'm good. I don't want it. Deep down inside, I'm like, ooh, I can get a credit card. I can buy all this farm stuff, and you know, my place would be like, you know, decked out crazy wise. Then I'm thinking, yeah, as soon as I charge it, I got to pay it back with interest. And I'm just like, nah, I'm good. But I wish y'all could see my sunset. I wish you could. It's a nice sunset. It's pink and blue and gray and white. And here, I'm gonna tell you what I'll do. Let me flip this thing around. Pan slowly, so my camera's already doing it. It's moving too fast. I mean, look at that sunset. Look how pretty that is. Of course, I know that some of y'all are probably thinking, hey, I get sunsets like that all the time. Well, you probably do. Now, look at my nice blue lights right there. I love that stuff. It's great. I love it. That's why I said I want to get me some more for summertime, for later down the road. Hello, black kitty. Say kiki. Yeah. Neighbor's black cat somewhere. One of my neighbors has the black cat. He comes up here and he loves on me and wants me to pet him and everything. He's a little skittish on some things, but I've been bringing him food out here and everything else because he definitely, you know, he belongs to somebody, but he's kind of skinny. So I just bring him food out and some water and everything else. And I mean, if he wants to hang around, more power for him. You know, that's one less mouse I have to worry about outside. And I got a couple other kitties that run around who belong to other neighbors, and I feed them as well, along with the possums and raccoons and whatever else crawls up on the porch at nighttime. I don't care. I'll feed anything and everything. But yeah, these are videos I like making, to where, you know, I get to tell a little bit about me, and nothing too personal, nothing too forward. I kind of rant on a little bit and everything else, which I know I do, but it's okay. But like I said before, you know, if you want the follow-up of what took place at Covenant Transport in 1996, I believe, 95 or 96. Man, that sounds like forever ago. It really does. Even though it's not in some ways, but by God, it sure feels like it. That's like, there's a few people that I've kind of crossed paths with in the past, and they're like, well, I'm only such and such years old, and I was like, or they say, well, I was born in like in 97 or 96, 97, 98, and I was like, shit, I was in my 20s driving across the U.S. in a damn tractor trailer, terrorizing the people across I-40 and I-10 and I-30 and I-35 and, you know, wherever else I went across through there. And I'm just like, I mean, it really makes you feel old. It really does. I mean, of course, I'm turning 50 next year, and my wife's 5 years younger than I am. And, you know, a lot of the people that I had, I wouldn't say close ties with, but, you know, I kept in contact with, and we talked every so often. Hell, a good handful of them they're already dead and gone. I mean, and it really makes you feel kind of blessed at the same time, but it really can make you feel like crap, because, you know, the people that you really had something in common with, that you grew up with and everything else, they're gone. And, you know, talking to the wife about things isn't the same as talking with somebody that you've known for 30 plus years, you grew up with, and you done bad shit with, and you broke the laws with, and, you know, you partied your ass off, and you did things that, you know, society has no clue what you did. And, you know, of course, we would bring up old times and, you know, things that we done and things that we should have done but didn't, and, you know, and you can't talk with them no more because they're not here. And then there's other handfuls of people I know that, you know, I see them once in a great moon, and it's like, you know, they're too wrapped up in their own little ball of yarn across the way, and they're all the time, well, we need to get together, we need to plan like a reunion kind of thing and get a bunch of people together. And all it is words, because when you try to do something like that, oh, well, I can't, I'm too busy, or I gotta do this or that, or blah, 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 blah. So, what are you gonna do? Nothing. Sit back and watch more of your friends pass away, and I'll tell you what, I can understand now why old people have the problems that they do, for the main reason of they feel alone. And that's kind of how I feel sometimes. I feel alone, and it really sucks. But, you know, what are you gonna do? Spit in one hand, shit in the other, so which one fills up fastest? Now, since it's getting darker, I'm getting this little phase kind of thing, but at the same time, you can see the reflections, like right here, my blue lights and stuff around me. I'm starting to get this kind of weird, kind of Smurf look to me, which is, truthfully to me, it's A-okay, because my lights are doing their job. I just wish I could find a way I could connect them to be solar instead of plugged into the power source, which these things here, they don't draw enough amperage to do anything really. But, you know, I leave them plugged in all night long and unplug them in the morning when I take them to kids to school, and I'll plug them back in, say, I don't know, right about sunset-ish, and let them run through the night. Well, my side light kicked on, so that tells me right there If my solar light kick turns on, it's time to turn the thing off. I've talked enough, I've jaw jammed, I've shared some shit, personal shit, this and that and that and this. Y'all have a great day. Y'all will see me again by this weekend sometime. Don't know when, but you will. And I'll try to remember. I'll make a little post note if I can. As Paul Harvey would say, for the rest of the story. And if you don't know who Paul Harvey is, I'm sorry, you're too damn young. So until then, hasta la pasta.